Picture the glittering Los Angeles night. You can practically hear the rapid-fire click of the paparazzi cameras.
Oh yeah, those blinding flashes just bouncing off everything.
Right, exactly. Bouncing off the luxury cars, illuminating the faces of literally the most famous people on Earth.
Yeah.
And then, well, the heavy metal gates, the Playboy Mansion slammed shut.
Keeping the whole world out.
Exactly. To the outside world, this was it, you know? The ultimate VIP party. A wonderland of consequence-free, glamorous fun. But inside, behind those heavy wooden doors and down in the cold, stone-walled basement,
A completely different story.
a much darker, much sicker reality was playing out on tape.
It really was.
That is the reality we're unpacking today. Welcome to Starscope Report. Join Jordan and Jamie as we uncover Hollywood drama, music industry shakeups, and viral influencer scandals.
Yep.
From red carpet surprises to social media controversies, we dive deep into the stories behind the fame.
And today's deep dive is, well, it's going to completely shatter that cotton candy illusion you were sold on television.
Oh, absolutely.
We've pulled together this massive stack of sources for you. We're talking investigative reports, memoirs, academic papers, and docuseries transcripts, all to uncover the shocking, systematic, and frankly sick rules of Hugh Hefner's empire.
We are looking right past those velvet robes today. Because, the headline that absolutely stopped me in my tracks, it just completely destroys that glamorous fantasy we all grew up watching.
It's a rough one.
It's wild. Imagine this. To get their $1,000 Friday allowance, Hefner's girlfriends had to stand in a stained, dirty bedroom and wait while he physically picked up dog feces off the unwashed carpet.
Ugh, so gross.
Right, while listening to him complain. Oh. And they had to adhere to a strict 9 p.m. curfew.
It is just a stunning contrast to the image of, progressive liberation that the brand promoted for decades.
Totally.
For context, you really have to look back at the cultural phenomenon of The Girls Next Door. That reality show packaged life at the mansion as this quirky, family-friendly cartoon.
It really did. We all bought into it.
But according to Holly Madison's memoir, that first season was nothing short of character assassination through deceptive editing.
Yeah, the producers essentially manufactured this intense, toxic jealousy between the women. It wasn't just harmless reality TV drama, It was literal psychological warfare designed for ratings.
And the damage was permanent.
Exactly. It fueled a 14-year feud between Holly Madison and Kendra Wilkinson. The producers who worked on both of their eventual spin-off shows, they deliberately pitted them against each other behind the scenes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, comparing their successes, whispering in their ears, just playing these awful mind games. And it finally blew up in 2012 over a tabloid article that Kendra reposted.
Right, the text argument.
Yep, a massive text argument. They haven't spoken since.
Man, but the manufactured on-screen drama was really just a smokescreen for the very real off-screen control going on in that house.
Oh, 100%.
The rules inside the mansion were systematically designed to enforce total financial and social isolation. Women were expressly forbidden from having outside jobs.
Which is insane.
Right. Holly Madison actually tried to keep her waitressing job at Hooters just to have, a tether to the outside world, but she was pressured to quit. And let's really think about what that means for a second. By forcing her to quit a waitressing job, he severs her only independent income.
Exactly.
She becomes entirely reliant on that bizarre Friday allowance ritual. And he used that allowance as a weapon. If you missed a club night, you don't get paid.
It's pure financial abuse.
Yeah. Add to that the bizarre aesthetic rules. No red lipstick allowed. Strict weight limits where women were regularly put on scales and reprimanded for gaining even a few pounds.
God.
No social media. No boys allowed in the house.
I really want to push back on the popular narrative here, though. You hear people say this was just the weird quirk of an eccentric, aging rich guy.
Right, he's just a quirky grandpa excuse.
Exactly, but if you look at the mechanics of this, the mansion wasn't a playground at all. It was a beautifully gilded panopticon.
A panopticon, like a prison where the inmates think they're always being watched. Precisely, because there was a literal logbook kept by the staff. Every single time a woman left the property, and every time she returned, it was documented.
Oh,
And Hefner read that book every single morning. He wasn't acting like an unconventional boyfriend. He was acting like a warden who held the only wallet, dictating every aspect of their physical existence.
a warden in a silk robe. It's chilling. And the psychological degradation didn't stop at the logbooks either. We have to talk about the horrific reality of the scheduled intimacy.
Yeah, this part it's really dark.
Holly described it as having a, quote, chore vibe. Group encounters were rigidly scheduled for every Wednesday and Friday, right after their clubbing outings.
It was heavily regimented, which fundamentally strips away any concept of romance or, genuine liberation.
Absolutely. And the survival mechanisms these women had to develop to get through it are just tragic. They were often heavily intoxicated on Quaaludes.
Which, allegedly, Hefner called thigh opener.
Ugh, makes my skin crawl. Because they were just trying to get through this grueling, scheduled routine, they would literally mime sex with each other.
Wow.
Yeah. They would stand there, putting on a show, silently mocking the entire situation just to cope with the trauma of it all. And they could get away with the gossiping and mocking right in front of him.
Yeah.
Because, well, Hefner was completely deaf in one ear.
That image alone, women pantomiming intimacy while dissociating on tranquilizers, it tells you everything you need to know about the power dynamic in that room.
It's absolutely disgusting. You have this massive media empire selling the ultimate glamorous fantasy to the American public. And the reality is young women standing on old stained mattresses waiting for a man to finish picking up dog poop so they can get their allowance in $100 bills.
The glamour is completely gone.
Completely. It strips it all away. And if you think the psychological control upstairs was terrifying, wait until you hear how he intentionally sabotaged a teenager's Hollywood dreams.
That is coming up next.
Yep. That's next. If you're hooked on these dark Hollywood truths, make sure you're subscribed. We're just scratching the surface of this deep dive.
So that absolute control of their wallets upstairs, it makes perfect sense when you realize what Hefner was actually doing to their careers on the outside.
Right.
He intentionally derailed his girlfriend's acting careers to trap them and then force them to act as, quote, mules to recruit other young women.
This connects directly to how he specifically targeted vulnerability. Like think about Holly Madison's recent revelation.
The autism diagnosis.
Exactly. In 2023, she shared that she was diagnosed with autism. Looking back, she believes her undiagnosed social difficulties made her incredibly susceptible to his manipulation.
There's a 53-year age gap there.
53 years, she was struggling to connect with people, feeling socially isolated, and he just swoops in. She thought his manipulation was love. But she's since likened her experiences to literal Stockholm Syndrome.
And that targeting of vulnerability wasn't an isolated incident. It was a decades-long pattern.
Yeah. Let's talk about the 70s.
Let's look at Sondra Theodore in the 1970s. Imagine you are a 19-year-old Sunday school teacher from a conservative family.
Wow. 19.
You are thrust into this blinding spotlight, and you meet a 50-year-old billionaire who promises you the world. She later called him a vampire who sucked the life out of young girls.
Her story is just visceral and heartbreaking. Because Sondra actually wanted to be an actress.
And she was good.
She was.
Yeah.
She was offered a massive, life-changing role playing Mary Tyler Moore's daughter in a film. That is a star-making vehicle right there.
Oh, huge.
But suddenly, her phone just completely stops ringing. You'd think it was just bad luck, right?
Mm-hmm.
You wouldn't guess that a billionaire was actively destroying your life behind the scenes.
The machinery of the sabotage is what's truly terrifying here. She later found out from a publicist that Hefner had secretly intervened.
So messed up.
He didn't just ask her not to take the role. He actively blocked her to ensure she wouldn't gain any financial independence.
Huh.
An actual memo went out across Hollywood saying no one in town was allowed to work with her.
A literal Hollywood blacklist memo.
Oh.
So deeply sinister. And once she was financially trapped, the grooming escalated. Sondra was heavily pressured to become what she called a mule.
Which meant what exactly?
Her assigned job was to go out and recruit other young, vulnerable women for Hefner's bedroom. She was pushed to her absolute breaking point, including this truly shocking incident where she walked in on Hefner experimenting with a dog.
Oh my God. Which, by the way, echoes the horrific claims made by Linda Lovelace in her own biography.
Exactly. It's not just turkey behavior.
No, this was a deliberate breaking down of a young woman's understanding of normalcy and boundaries.
Sondra finally realized the horror of her situation around the age of 25 and managed to escape. But the reality of her story takes a turn that honestly makes me sick to my stomach.
Yeah, the cameo.
Years later, Sondra actually makes a cameo on The Girls Next Door.
Which, from the outside, looks entirely contradictory, right? Like, why return to the site of your trauma?
Because she had to save her kid.
Man.
Her own teenage daughter, Katie, was dealing with severe bullying at school because of her mom's Playboy past. So looking for an escape, Katie found refuge at the Playboy Mansion around age 17 or 18.
It's like a horror movie.
It is. Sondra had to step foot back into that nightmare, walk right up to Hefner, and explicitly tell him to stay away from her daughter. She had to enter the lion's den, to pull her own child away from the exact same predator who derailed her life decades earlier.
But we have to look at the machinery behind that predator. Because one man cannot enforce a Hollywood-wide blacklist or cover up these daily abuses all on his own.
Right. It takes a village, a very dark village.
To pull this off, you need an entire corporate infrastructure. Former executive Miki Garcia detailed how there was essentially a built-in cleanup crew.
Wait, like actual fixers on the payroll?
Exactly. Publicists, security personnel, corporate executives, an entire machine dedicated to enforcing the abuse.
Wow.
If a woman tried to speak out, the publicist would threaten her career. If a woman tried to leave without permission, security was there to intimidate her. They weaponized non-disclosure agreements and payoffs to silence the victims and protect the brand's family-friendly image at all costs.
It's chilling. It's literally a localized mafia.
It really is.
And that's not even the wildest part. Later in this deep dive, we'll talk about the secret architectural traps and the shocking twist hidden in the basement vault that nobody saw coming.
The vaults are insane.
Stay tuned and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss what we uncover in the mansion's shadows.
So the physical space itself was actually an extension of that corporate machinery. As we look at the architecture of the property, we find a bold headline that sounds like fiction.
Look, Harriet.
The Playboy Mansion's basement held a secret wine cellar that was converted into a vault, storing over 1,000 non-consensual surveillance tapes of celebrities and sex workers.
It genuinely sounds like the plot of a thriller. So if he's tracking them upstairs with logbooks, please tell me the secret rooms weren't wired too.
Well, to understand how the space was weaponized, we first have to look at some fascinating academic research on what's called the domestication of play.
Okay, what does that mean?
In the 70s, Playboy pushed this lifestyle where work and play were completely blended. The mansion was designed as a multimedia broadcasting garden. Hefner used games like backgammon, pinball, early video games to assert heterosexual male dominance.
I'm sorry, I'm stuck on that. How does an arcade game or a pinball machine assert male dominance?
Because by turning the mansion into a literal game room, Hefner positioned himself as the game master. The women weren't viewed as actual competitors, you know. They were part of the prize mechanics.
Oh, wow.
They were decorative cheerleaders meant to stroke his ego. Think about backgammon. They hosted massive tournaments and posted the top 20 scores on a walnut plaque right in the game room. Barbie Benton, his girlfriend at the time, was an excellent backgammon player. But she noted that it deeply bothered him if she consistently beat him at what she called heavy mental games. Women were there to facilitate flirtatious interaction, not to challenge the intellectual hierarchy of the man who controlled their allowances.
So the house was a rigged casino, and the house always had to win.
Exactly.
And the architecture itself was built for deception to ensure he always had the upper hand. Like, the game room wasn't just a place to play pool, it was a converted gardener's cottage. And concealed within those wood-paneled walls were hidden doors leading to 2 secret mini bedrooms.
Hidden bedrooms right there in the game room.
Yes. One was completely red, the other completely blue, equipped with mirrored walls and ceilings.
Along with the famous jacuzzi grotto, which, by the way, was intentionally placed entirely out of sight and out of earshot of the main house. Very. It allowed Hefner to orchestrate clandestine encounters while his primary girlfriend was asleep or totally unaware. Again, this wasn't about the free love movement. It was a highly orchestrated, controlled environment where the illusion of freedom masked intense surveillance.
Which brings us down into the basement. Remember, this was a 1927 Gothic-style house with thick, soundproof stone walls.
Perfect for hiding things.
Exactly. Hefner found a secret Prohibition-era wine cellar and turned it into his personal vault. But this wasn't for vintage wine.
No.
This vault held literal FBI files showing decades of obscenity investigations into his operations, and it held massive amounts of drugs. Former girlfriends described opening drawers filled with up to 500 Quaalude pills, which were just casually handed out before parties as a means of control.
And what's truly horrifying here is the scale of the surveillance state he built down there. During the late 70s and 80s, an underground gym was built beneath the bathhouse.
Yeah.
It had tanning beds and stone showers, but the entire facility was completely wired with hidden cameras.
This is where the infamous pig nights took place.
Yeah.
Sex workers were brought into this underground gym and filmed without their consent, while Hefner sat safely in another room watching them on large monitors, smoking and laughing.
Completely unhinged behavior.
And this shadow network extended way beyond the mansion gates. Let's talk about Dr. Mark Saganor, known in this inner circle as Dr. Feelgood.
Right.
He ran what were called shadow mansions across Los Angeles.
And the logistics of those shadow mansions are really where the corporate cleanup crew earn their paychecks.
Oh, big time.
Sagner would allegedly traffic up to 20 women a week under the guise of legitimate magazine photo shoots. Those shoots would quickly devolve into drug-fueled assaults, and the Playboy publicists and security teams allegedly just turned a blind eye, essentially providing a protective corporate shield for a literal human trafficking ring.
The fallout from this culture of impunity was utterly tragic, and the blood is on the hands of that entire machine. We're talking about the overdose of Adrienne Pollock in 1973, the suicide of Hefner's assistant Bobby Arnstein in 1975 after she was sentenced to 15 years for cocaine transport, and the horrific, devastating murder of playmate Dorothy Stratton in 1980 by her jealous husband.
The trauma is generational, and it definitely didn't end in the 80s either. In 2022, multiple class action lawsuits were filed by women seeking justice over the revenge porn and secret tapes.
Because he kept them all.
We are talking about over 1,000 tapes kept in those climate-controlled safes. Decades of blackmail material weaponized against anyone who might speak out.
It raises an incredibly dark question about his final years. The image of the ultimate playboy faded into something so grim it feels like a gothic tragedy.
Truly.
According to his widow, Crystal Harris, Hefner faked illnesses, pretending to have severe back pain and hearing loss, just to manipulate her into staying with him.
He weaponized his own physical decline to maintain his grip on her.
Yeah, she was trapped in this decaying, rotting mansion full of black mold and hoarded junk. She was subjected to strict rules about her nail polish color and had to immediately bleach her hair if her dark roots ever showed.
Wow.
Meanwhile, Hefner was consuming massive amounts of Viagra just to maintain the fading illusion of his lifestyle until he finally died in 2017.
And even in death, he orchestrated one final permanent violation.
Oh, this makes me so angry.
He bought the crypt drawer directly next to Marilyn Monroe.
That is the ultimate grotesque insult. She never even consented to being his inaugural cover model in 1953.
Exactly.
He bought those nude photos taken years earlier when she was desperate for money for $500. He built his entire global empire on her body without her permission. And then he spends $75,000 to force her to spend eternity lying next to him.
If we look at the overarching narrative we've discussed today, the horrific irony is just inescapable. Hefner marketed the Playboy Mansion to the world as a progressive Disneyland for adults.
Right.
He championed himself as a pioneer of free speech, the First Amendment, and sexual liberation. But in reality, he was running a localized, heavily guarded surveillance state. He used architectural traps, prescription drugs, and a ruthless corporate machine to systematically blackmail, silence, and destroy women.
I am just in absolute shock at the sheer scale of the mechanics involved. The hidden cameras disguised in the gym showers, the secret tunnels reaching across the property, the sheer volume of tapes sitting in those stone vaults.
It's massive.
It is an absolute systematic violation of privacy on a level that is genuinely terrifying to comprehend.
It really forces us to reevaluate everything we thought we knew about that era of pop culture,
Yeah.
and how easily a brand can obscure the truth.
It really does. And, I want to leave you with a thought to mull over as we wrap up.
Yeah.
Consider how easily the mainstream media and, frankly, the general public bought into Hefner's narrative of empowering women for decades.
We all bought it.
We did. He successfully convinced the entire world that a system which regularly put women on scales, dictated their nail polish color, systematically withheld their cash allowance, and forced grown adults to live under a 9 p.m. curfew was somehow the pinnacle of sexual liberation.
It's wild when you say it out loud.
It makes you wonder how much of our celebrated pop culture history is actually just brilliant, high-priced PR designed to cover up systemic, deeply entrenched abuse.
Something to think about.
Definitely. You've been listening to Star Scope Report, where Jordan and Jamie uncover the stories shaping Hollywood, music, and pop culture. Thanks for tuning in, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories that keep the stars shining.